by the end of your life, you have to look back and say, okay, I understood that I needed to be ready. I recognized what it was that I needed to do. I accepted that which I needed to do. And now I committed my life to it and I'm completing it. Understanding the will of God for each and every one of our lives is going to be based upon how far are we willing to take it. Listen to this. There is only one thing worth doing in life, and that is to find out what God's will is for you and then do it with all your might. Now, I know it doesn't seem something important right now to find out the will of God for your life, but in the end, when we stand before God, you're going to have wished that you would have done it. And you're going to see that everything that we spent time on is all in vain because it's good for nothing when it comes into the kingdom of heaven. Now, one thing I do want you to understand is that when you find the will of God for your lives, then everything else will fall into place when it comes to marriage, when it comes to family, when it comes to the work life. You always have to remember that God is first. And when you put God first, then God will help you balance all of these other things. I'm not saying that when you find out the call of God in your life, you begin to focus solely on that and you neglect your responsibilities as a man of God or a woman of God. But what I am saying is that you are going to have wished that you would have put God's will before anything else in your life. Whenever Jesus Christ comes back, you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, why didn't I do what the Bible told me to do? Now, we have to know that we all have been called to do something. And as Christians, our responsibility is to find out what that call is for our lives. So today I want to help you with that. I want to give you 4 things or steps or stages that are going to help you find the will of God for your lives and do the will of God for your lives. Now, these are just things that, in my heart, I found to bring to you to help you. Right? You can do whatever you want to do. You can live however you want to live. But if you are trying to figure out God's will for your life, then that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. Right? So the first step in this process is you have to be ready for it. Now, what this means is you have to understand what it is going to take. When you're ready for something, you're on board. You're going to do it. I'm ready to take on the call of God in my life. I'm at a point in my life where I'm ready for it, knowing that it's going to take a lot from you. It's a sacrifice. It's going to take a lot of your time. So you got to understand that. You got to be ready for that. And if you're not ready for that, then all the rest of these steps are not going to work. You have to be 100% ready, saying, I'm going to do this. It's just like your relationship with God. You say you want to follow after God. You say you want to accept Jesus and live your life as a Christian or Christ-like, then you have to be ready for that. You're going to go all in. You're going to put both feet in and you're going to be that man or that woman of God that God's called you to be. So be ready for it. Understand what it takes to be ready for it. The second stage is recognition of it. Recognize what it is. So what is the will of God for you? That's something that you have to recognize in your own personal life. Is it, music? Is it ministering? Is it helping people? I don't know what it is for your life. I know what it is for me, and that's preaching the gospel. So I had to find that out for myself. I had to look and recognize, okay, is it going out and evangelizing, or is it preaching, or is it giving, or is it praying for people? So I had to recognize that it was preaching the gospel. It was giving forth, teaching forth the word of God. So recognition of the will of God in your life is going to be a big thing. Remember, the first step is ready for it. You got to be ready for it. The second step is you have to recognize what it is that God's calling you to do. And once you've recognized what it is that God's calling you to do, then you can begin to work on it. You can begin to grow in that specific area of your life and begin to get better at it. Like for me, preaching, I had to learn how to step on stage and preach to people. I had to stop being afraid and just go out and do it. So that's what it's going to take, recognition of the will of God in your lives. The third stage is acceptance of it. So now you have to accept that this is the call in your life. When you accept that this is the call specifically for you in your lives, then you can be comfortable in it. And being comfortable in your call, like I said, you can begin to know that this is exactly what God's called me to do. You know, you've searched high and low. You've asked God, Lord, what is it that I need to recognize that is my gift? And as you've found what it was, you've accepted it now. And now you are doing everything in your power so that you can do what God's called you to do, because now you're not looking anymore. You're not searching anymore. You know exactly what it is. You've accepted it, and now you're going to put it into practice, right? And then the last stage of this, what is the will of God for our lives, is commit to it. Now, this is a big one. Remember, we have to finish what we have set out to accomplish. You cannot have so many things open and think that you're going to accomplish each and every one of them. Do one thing and do it really good. Do it with all your might. That's what this message is today. Figure out what it is and do it with all of your heart. And don't be jumping back and forth. Stick to that one thing that God is calling you to do and master it and get that thing under control and go out there and minister and use it. Commit to that gift. Commit to that thing that God's calling you to do, so that way you can complete it. You need to complete it by the end of your life. You have to look back and say, okay, I understood that I needed to be ready. I recognized what it was that I needed to do. I accepted that which I needed to do. And now I committed my life to it, and I'm completing it. I'm actually seeing it through. I'm not giving up on it. You know, I'm not throwing it away and for something else. I'm sticking to what I feel God's called me to do. You see, that is the whole process of figuring out the will of God for your lives. Once you put these, practices into place, then you've got something to look forward to. So I think the biggest one of these is recognizing each one of our gifts. And I think a lot of people get stuck in this area. They don't know what they've been called to do, but they do know that, they're good talkers. They do know that they can sing. They do know that they have a heart of giving. So that's where I would start. I would start if I can sing, if God has given me the ability to sing, then maybe God's calling me to be a worship leader. If I'm a giver and I have no problem giving to people, then maybe God's calling me to give, to people. And then that's where I would start with that. And then, like I said, if that is what you feel in your heart, God calling you to do, accept it and then commit to it. Today, I pray this message at least helps you understand. Like I said, you can do what you want to do, but I strongly believe that this is what it's going to take. And if you want God to move in your life, you're going to have to move. God does not move when you're stagnant. God does not move when you don't move. If you want to see the movement of God, then you have to be moving. That's how God works. Faith is believing that God's going to take care of something. But if you don't have faith, then God's not going to take care of nothing, because it is by faith that we get these things. It's the same thing here with our gift. If you know what God's calling you to do, but yet you're not doing anything, then you're not going to see the power of God in your lives. And some of you are probably wondering, well, what is the power of God in my life? I've never seen the power of God in my life. Well, it's because you're not doing anything so that God can show up. When you start moving, God starts moving in your life. And he does this because he wants us to understand that it's up to us. If we do it, then God will back us up 100%. Thanks for watching. God bless.